Have you ever looked at your Google Ads account and thought, we're getting clicks, so why aren't we getting customers? The truth is, most Google Ads accounts don't fail because of one big mistake. They fail because of dozens of small ones that quietly drain your budget every single day. So after managing accounts across different industries, I found that there are just 5 areas that you need to audit to help uncover most of these problems. And today I'm going to walk you through every single step. So in this video, I'll show you how to tell if your Google Ads account is actually healthy or just looks healthy on the surface, the 5 areas that reveal where your budget is really being wasted, and where your biggest opportunities are hiding, and a simple audit process that you can repeat every few months to keep your campaigns efficient, profitable, and moving in the right direction. So step 1 is assess your account structure. So the very first thing that I look at isn't performance, while that is important, it's the account structure, because if your account isn't organized properly, every optimization that you make after that becomes harder. The reporting gets messy, budgets ends up in the wrong places, and it can drastically hurt the performance of your account. So a good account structure should make it obvious what's happening in the moment that you log in. So start by looking at how your campaigns are segmented. Are brand campaigns separated from non-brand campaigns? Is prospecting campaigns separated from your remarketing campaigns? Are different services or product categories split into their own campaigns where it makes sense? Or even on the flip side, are you over-segmenting your services into too many campaigns or ad groups? The goal is to make sure that every campaign has one clear purpose and that it does it well. Then from there, you want to drill into your ad groups. So one mistake I see a lot is ad groups that try to target too many different themes all at once. When that happens, it becomes harder to write relevant ads, and then your quality score can suffer and your click costs often increase. But I've also seen it be the opposite, where you have too many ad groups in a campaign and it's making it hard for Google's algorithm to optimize. So you want tightly themed ad groups, and that will usually give you much better control over your messaging and performance. So for example, if you are an automotive shop, your campaign might have a car repair ad group, a brake repair ad group, and a tire ad group. So having these all in the same ad group would drastically hurt your quality score because you can't target the messaging to each one of those customers. But you also don't need to have a car repair ad group and an auto repair ad group because Google sees those as the same thing, even though the words are slightly different. And then finally, you want to check for overlap. So are multiple campaigns targeting the same keywords? Are audiences competing against each other? Is most of your budget going to campaigns that aren't producing results while your best performers are being limited? These structural issues are surprisingly common, and they're often easy to fix once you know where to look. Step 2 is to conduct a thorough performance review. So once I'm happy with the account structure, the next thing I look at is the performance, because this is where you start separating campaigns that are actually driving business results from the ones that are simply spending money. Now, it's really easy to get overwhelmed by all of the metrics inside of Google Ads. There are dozens of columns that you can look at and a ton of numbers. But for most accounts, I like to focus on a handful of core metrics that will tell you the majority of what you need to know. So the first is your click-through rate, or your CTR. CTR tells you what percentage of people clicked on your ad after seeing it. So if that is consistently low, it's usually a sign that something isn't connecting with the person doing the search. So maybe your keywords aren't matching the right searches, maybe your ad copy isn't compelling enough to make people want to click, or maybe your offer just isn't standing out to them. But a lot of people overlook the click-through rate, and a high click-through rate isn't automatically a good thing either. So if you're getting lots of clicks but very few conversions, you might be attracting the wrong audience altogether. Sometimes that's because branded traffic is inflating your numbers, especially if you are bidding on your branded name inside of your general campaigns. Other times it's because your targeting is simply too broad. So don't judge your CTR just by itself. Always look at it alongside your conversion data. Next is cost per click, or CPC. This tells you how much you're paying every time someone clicks on your ad. So if your CPC is climbing, it doesn't necessarily mean that Google is just charging you more for no reason. It could be that competition has increased, or your quality score has dropped, or you're entering auctions that you don't actually want to be in. And then on the flip side, unusually low CPCs can sometimes be a warning sign too. So you may be pulling in branded traffic that has a much lower CPC, or matching to irrelevant searches, or relying too heavily on search partners, or broad match keywords. So it's worth digging a little deeper whenever something looks unusual with your CPCs. Then you want to look at your cost per acquisition, or your CPA. So this tells you how much you're paying to generate a lead or a sale. So if your CPA is low and conversions are healthy, that's usually a good indication that the campaign is working well. But if CPA starts creeping up while conversions start to fall, then you need to start to investigate. So look at your targeting, your ads, your landing page, and even your offer. So any one of those could be creating a little bit of friction that starts to drive costs higher. And finally, if you're tracking revenue, look at the return on ad spend, or your ROAS. This is your North Star and really the only metric that matters for a lot of service-based businesses. So a lot of advertisers chase the highest ROAS possible, but context kind of matters here too. So a campaign with an incredible ROAS that generates 2 sales a month isn't necessarily better than one with a slightly lower ROAS that's consistently bringing in dozens of new customers. So you always want to balance efficiency with volume. The goal isn't just to make your metrics look good, it's to grow the business profitably. So if you have one client that comes in and spends $2,000, that might be a good ROAS depending on your ad spend. Or if you have 5 clients that come in and maybe spend $1,800, those 5 clients are more likely to come back a second time. And then step 3 is to fine tune your keyword strategy. So now let's look at the part of your account that usually determines whether your budget is being spent on the right people or the wrong people. And that's your keywords. Because even the best ads in the world won't perform if they're showing up for the wrong searches. So the first thing I look at is the search intent. So ask yourself, what is this person actually trying to accomplish when they type this into Google? So someone searching for plumber near me is in a very different stage of the buying journey than someone searching how to fix a leaky faucet. One is probably looking to hire today. The other is probably looking for free advice. And so that's why I like grouping by keyword intent. So your highest intent keywords, the ones from people ready to buy or ready to book, should almost always get the most attention because that's where the highest quality leads usually come from. And then next, you want to review your search terms report. This is one of the fastest ways to find wasted spend. So look for searches that are completely irrelevant to your business. People looking for jobs or free services or DIY information or anything else that's unlikely to become a customer. Every one of those low quality searches should probably become a negative keyword. And don't treat this as a one-time cleanup. New search terms appear daily, so this should become part of your regular maintenance routine with your campaigns. Step 4 is to audit your ads and your landing pages. So once you know you're targeting the right searches, the next question is, when people see your ad and click on it, are you giving them a good reason to convert? Because even perfect keywords can't save weak ads or a poor landing page. So let's start with the ads. One of the first things that I check is the overall health of the ads. So have any of the ads been disapproved? Are your headlines and descriptions still relevant to the services that you're offering today? It's surprising how often I find accounts running ads that reference outdated promotions or old offers or services that businesses don't even provide anymore. Those are easy wins during an audit. I also look at your ad assets. Are you using site links, callouts, the structured snippets? Are any of them disproved? These don't just make your ads bigger on the page, they give potential customers more reasons to click and can improve your visibility in the auction. Then I move over to the landing page. This is where a lot of campaigns quietly fall apart, so people will often blame Google Ads when the real problem is that the landing page just isn't doing its job. So when you're looking at the landing pages, ask yourself a few questions. Does the page match what the ad promised? Does it load quickly? Is it obvious what you want the visitor to do next? And is it optimized for cell phone? One more thing that's becoming increasingly important with AI-powered campaigns is making sure that your landing pages themselves are clean and accurate. So campaign settings like AI Max can use information from your website to better understand your business. So if your page contains outdated information or broken messaging or irrelevant content, you're not just hurting your landing page, you're feeding bad information back into Google's automation for it to use. So good ads get the click, and then good landing pages turn that click into a customer. And you do need both to work together if you want consistent results. And then step 5, verify your tracking and campaign settings. So the last step is probably the most important, because if your conversion tracking isn't accurate, Every decision you've made up to this point could be based on bad or missing data. So I've seen accounts where the campaigns weren't actually the problem, the tracking was. So if Google is optimizing for the wrong conversion action, or if conversions aren't being recorded properly, smart bidding will keep making decisions based on that bad information. So the first thing I check is the conversion tracking. Make sure every important action is being recorded and that those actions are actually true leads. So you want to track when a form is completed, not just when it started, or when a true phone call happens, not just when somebody clicks on the number. And then before you start worrying about lowering your CPAs or increasing your ROAS, make sure that Google is actually optimizing for the conversions that matter to your business and not just any form submission or button click. And then the second part of this step is review the campaign settings. So check your bidding strategy. Does it actually match your objective? The important thing is making sure that the bidding strategy aligns with what you're trying to accomplish, not just whatever was selected when the campaign was first built. Then look at your audience settings. Review your remarketing audiences. Make sure your exclusions still make sense. If you're using audience segments, check whether they're still relevant or if they've grown stale over time. Google Ads changes really quickly, and so do your customers. So sometimes what worked a year ago might not be the best fit today. And my final tip is don't blindly trust the automations. So automated rules, scripts, and Google recommendations can save a lot of time, but they're only helpful if they're working towards your goals. So take a few minutes to review any automated rules that you have running, check whether auto-applied recommendations are enabled, and make sure that Google suggestions actually make sense for your business before just blindly accepting them. And remember, Google's goal is often to increase activity inside the platform so that it can use your money. Your goal is to generate profitable customers, and those aren't always the same thing. Now, a checklist like this is useful, but seeing it applied to a real Google Ads account is where it really starts to click. So in the next video, I'm going to walk you through a real client account that we started managing a few months ago. I'll show you exactly what we found during our initial audit, the problems that were holding the account back, the change that we made based on that audit, and most importantly, the difference that those changes made to the account's performance over time. So if you want to see what this 5-step process looks like in the real world, click right here and let's dive into that case study.